The future mindset. Okay, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I've been a futurist for almost 20 years now. And when I think about the future, this has become sort of second nature to me to look at the future as something that's already here. And I wonder how we can build our mindset to be more future focused. This Henry Miller quote, the future and our destination is never a place. Right? It's just a new way of seeing things. This is very much like when you're in a relationship and things are getting stale. You know, a new way of seeing things opens things up again and questions our assumptions. The next 10 years will bring more change than the previous 100 years. I keep saying that and it keeps being true. It's kind of scary, actually. This is the future mindset here, paying attention. The future mindset is understanding what goes on around us, observing, listening. Because when you listen, you're starting to pick up on things, and that changes the way that you go about a practical task. Listening, observing is a skill that we can practice. So the future mindset isn't something that is like native to the genius. The future mindset is reading the signals. And there's also something really important about this constant yes or no question. The future isn't about prediction. It's not about having correct predictions. It's about intuition, imagination, understanding, gut feel. Jeff Bezos from Amazon, he always says he loves focus group and studies, but in the end, it's his decision based on gut feel. And so it's not about yes or no, but it's also maybe. We should not fall into the trap of which are naturally inclined, of course, to give us yes or no answers, being binary, but humans are multinary. So very important to realize what's happening here on the future mindset. 4 different things. First, observation. Observing what's happening, talking to people, having an open mind. And that is already a lifesaver right there. The second skill really is the one of understanding, right? Which means to read between the lines. You know, understanding something is completely different than knowing it. Knowledge, zeros and ones, facts are one thing, but understanding is a very sort of fundamental thing between people. And understanding is, for example, the difference of listening to your kids and understanding what they're not saying rather than what they are saying. And that is an implicit knowledge rather than explicit knowledge, tacit knowledge, all the things that makes us human. And imagination, of course, Einstein, right? Imagination is more important than knowledge. To be able to imagine what if, that is the future mindset. And I can't tell you again how many people are incapable of doing that because they block that path to thinking, to asking that questions. Yeah, basically, computers are for answers, humans are for questions. Kevin Kelly, one of my favorite authors. And on top of that, of course, that develops foresight. Think of it like driving in a car, and when you drive down the suburbs in New Jersey or so, you're going slowly, 20 miles per hour. It's a big deal if you know observing, but it works, looking a little bit ahead. But when you're going on the Autobahn and you're jamming along at 250 kilometers an hour, foresight has to be a mile to not crash. And today we're going at high speed everywhere, whether it's pharma or banking and government, healthcare. We have to look ahead. So this is what we need to work on foresight, and we have to make it a priority. Think of it a little bit like when you're trying to figure out how to be more fit and to eat better, right? This is a decision that we make, not to eat this or to stop habits. And so I think foresight in the future mindset is kind of like we decide that it's important to understand the future. And I think Europe has an extreme difficulty understanding why the future is so important, because we look at the past and we're proud of the past, and then we enjoy the present, but the future should be investigated and imagined, right? Very important that we look at our freedom to deliver our future, and also that we have an actual reason to design that. Foresight is so crucial because this dichotomy between science fiction and fact. Many things that are in science fiction are really scary. They're not fact yet, but other ones are becoming fact. Self-driving cars, artificial intelligence, and language translation, and what have you. And we have to be able to gauge this for ourselves. What is real, what is not real, and how far away could it be? We have to be able to gauge that. That's part of the future mindset. It's not always saying yes or no. It's saying, yes, it could happen, but it's 10 years away. We have to be able to judge that. And that's a question of gut feel. When I worked in the music business, I said in 1999, music is moving to the cloud. And it was too early until Apple came around with the iPhone to really get music in the cloud. You know? Science fiction, science fact, really crucial that we make this distinction between the two. Also very important is to take a wider view. You see the guy here on the left looking straight at the objective, like building a car. The guy on the right takes a wider view, So that's really important that we're able to look in both directions, taking a wider view and questioning our assumptions. A question our assumption means that we're able to say, well, it worked until now, but it won't work tomorrow. Look at the car industry. Question the assumption that we all need a car. No, we all need mobility. We don't need the car necessarily. Hopefully the car will still be part of it. Very important. Here's a great example in terms of just questioning your assumptions like this. 1 and 11 is obviously not 10. But when you look at it from the other way around, we spin it around, right? 10 is 9 and 1. And that's true. And all we've done is we've changed the viewpoint. I try to do that exercise every single day also because it's quite clear that our skills are changing. This pyramid of skills is changing because machines have more skills now. They have more logic. They have more understanding. The future mindset will be not settled down here in intellectual knowledge and logic and data and information. It'll be settled around here, deeper knowledge, tacit knowledge, understanding, wisdom. That is the mindset. So looking at these things, tacit knowledge, understanding, wisdom, purpose, consciousness, requires human agency. And this is our job of the future. The only job that we're going to have in the future is to be human. And this is so important to realize for the future of our work as we're wildly gyrating towards technology everywhere. The Vitruvian man, of course, Leonardo da Vinci, 15th century Renaissance, and now we have another Renaissance because around us is essentially this spinning wheel of accomplished technologies. I call them the game changers, and you can Google more for that. The game changers, data, AI, cloud computing, and virtual reality, and so on. They're spinning around us, and now we have to find a new way of integrating humanity into this. The important part is clear the future mindset is not a machine. It's not all about science or, for that matter, logic. Science isn't just about logic, but it's art and science. As years ago, Steve Jobs, rest in peace, said it's about the combination of those two things. It's going to be an art to understand the future. And that's an art you can hone. But in the end, that is what we're doing, understanding this and where we're going. And this sort of connected thinking, like here, it's quite clear the future is like a chain of dominoes, whether it's climate change, artificial intelligence, super intelligence, AGI. But we have to understand this in a holistic way. That means contextual. And that is what makes us different. If you walk in a bar, you meet somebody, you have a contextual understanding. You're listening, you're smelling. You're not looking at the metaverse, right? Which is one of the things I call the great reduction, to boil it down to something that we can sell. When we look at a future mindset, it is holistic in converging all the things around us into an understanding. I love this picture, listening with giant amplifiers. And from the listening, you let it influence your mind. Here's the bottom line: 1 hour per day in the future. And we're not talking about movies here. We're not talking about Netflix and binging. And we're talking about reading great books. The good list on my website, like number 1 book to read right now is Kim Stanley Robinson, The Ministry for the Future. That's one to start learning right there. So 1 hour a day spent in the future, and that will change your world forever. A future mindset that will grow, compound. Basically, the mindset is something that is nurtured along, and all of a sudden it becomes really important. It takes a few years for that to happen, but the future mindset is the number 1 reason why you're going to have a job in the future. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon. Live long and prosper.